On July 20, 1969, humanity touched the moon for the very first time. But what most people don't know is this: Neil Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin didn't come back alone. They left something behind. Something small. Something mysterious. Something that, according to NASA's latest data, might still be transmitting signals. Today on FactForge TV, we uncover the secret moon device that was never supposed to wake up again. When Apollo 11 prepared to leave the moon, the atmosphere inside the lunar lander was tense. Every gram mattered. Every object inside the lander could decide whether the astronauts lived or died on their journey home. NASA engineers had spent months calculating exact fuel burn, determining what could be carried and what had to be abandoned. Tools were scattered across the gray soil: drills, collection bags, even parts of the lander itself, discarded to lighten the ship. The world watched history unfold, but a silent secret was left behind. Among the forgotten items was a strange, box-shaped device, a device that had no moving parts and no power source. A device that, somehow, continues to function to this very day. It was called the Lunar Laser Retroreflector. To most people, it looked like a simple mirror. But behind its simplicity was a technological masterpiece. Think of it as a perfect cosmic reflector, engineered to send any beam of light, no matter the angle, directly back to its origin. No distortion. No scattering. Just a perfect response signal. NASA placed it there with one mission: keep the moon talking to Earth. Scientists wanted to know, is the moon slowly drifting away? How stable are its orbital paths? Is our planet's gravity changing over time? Using the reflector, researchers would fire powerful lasers from observatories in Texas and California. When those beams hit the reflector, they bounced straight back like a message sent across space. The time it took to return? It allowed scientists to measure the exact distance between Earth and the moon, down to the width of a pencil. But here's where things get strange. The reflector was never designed to last forever. Sharp temperature swings, hotter than boiling water in the day, colder than Antarctica at night, should have damaged it long ago. Billions of tiny meteors have hit the lunar surface over the years. Dust storms no human has ever witnessed sweep across craters. Yet somehow, this device is still working. Still returning laser pulses with incredible accuracy. Still refusing to die. Even after more than 5 decades, in the silence of space, with no protection, no maintenance. It continues to reply. Almost like it knows someone will always be listening. For decades, the Lunar Laser Retroreflector faithfully bounced back light, a silent reminder of humanity's first footprint beyond Earth. Scientists treated it like a tool. Predictable. Reliable. Under control. But then, the signals began to change. At first, it seemed like a tiny glitch, so small that only the most sensitive detectors could notice it. The returning laser beams had micro-interruptions, slight delays that should not exist in a perfect reflection. It was as if something briefly touched the beam, just for a fraction of a second, on its journey back to Earth. Researchers proposed the usual explanations. Maybe lunar dust is covering the mirrors. Maybe the mirrors are heating unevenly. Probably just natural interference. But those theories fell apart quickly, because the interruptions didn't happen randomly. They had patterns. Engineers began seeing clusters of irregular pulses, like a coded tap, similar to how intelligence agencies detect hidden messages inside radio waves. And the most chilling part? These patterns grew more frequent over time. The moon's environment is harsh and chaotic. Nothing up there behaves with patterns. Nothing repeats itself intentionally. Dust, heat, micro-impacts, all random. Yet this device was responding like a receiver. Like something was calling back. Across NASA and observatories in France and Italy, quiet discussions started to rise. What if we aren't the only ones sending signals to that reflector? What if something beneath the surface is interfering? Some scientists suggested a radical idea. What if the device is picking up signals coming from inside the moon? They pointed towards seismic data from previous missions, when astronauts set off small explosives on the moon. To measure moonquakes, the moon rang like a bell for hours. Hollow spaces. Massive caverns. Unknown structures deep below. What if something lives or operates inside that darkness, something that reacts to high-energy communication fired from Earth? What if a laser beam isn't just measuring distance, it's knocking on a door? In 2019, a classified report leaked. A return signal arrived with a different wavelength than the one sent. Light came back changed, as if the reflector didn't reflect all of it, as if something added information to the beam. Government officials dismissed it. Told the public it was nothing. But to the scientists who studied it closely, this meant only one thing: the reflector might no longer be just a reflector. It might be transmitting. Something, or someone, might be using it to send a message back to Earth. A message hidden in the smallest flicker of light. And we only just noticed. The moon has always stared back at us, silent, unblinking, and ancient. But the more humans study it, the more it feels like it's not just a dead rock. For centuries, cultures believed the moon was watching, guiding tides, influencing behavior, protecting secrets older than humanity itself. Modern science didn't change that feeling. It made it stronger. Because the moon behaves like nothing else in the solar system. The hollow moon sound during Apollo missions, astronauts set off controlled explosions and recorded the vibrations. The moon didn't thud like solid rock. It rang like a bell, for more than 50 minutes. NASA scientists were stunned. They concluded the moon has massive underground voids, unusual material composition, a structure that feels. Engineered rocks don't ring. Shells do. The far side silence zone radio waves vanish on the far side, completely. It's the quietest place in the entire sky. Space agencies love it, because it blocks every Earth signal. But what if this silence isn't a coincidence? What if something, or someone, benefits from staying hidden exactly there? China's recent mission to the far side deployed a satellite just to maintain communication, because something blocks signals more strongly than expected. The perfect orbit: the moon is too big for Earth. Its orbit is too perfect. Its rotation is synchronized so precisely that we never see the far side. Not once in human history. As if someone carefully positioned it to always face us from one side only. By the year 2020, the lunar laser retroreflector had been quietly doing its job for more than 51 years. Astronomers fired lasers. The moon responded. Everything stayed predictable. Until one night, it didn't. The first signal at the Apache Point Observatory in New Mexico, the routine was always the same: fire. Wait. Record. Fire. Wait. Record. But a technician noticed a pulse return that made no mathematical sense. The reflected beam came back faster than physically possible. Light cannot travel faster than light. So how did it return early? The team ran diagnostics. Checked the clocks. Reset the equipment. Then, it happened again. Only this time, it brought an extra pulse, a tiny flicker of signal no one had sent. Almost like a quick tap on the line. One researcher whispered, "That's not a reflection. That's a reply." The impossible pattern: when the pulses were graphed, they formed a repeating sequence, a mathematical structure found in human communications encryption systems, intelligent data packets, not random. Not accidental. The moon had responded with information. And it wasn't the only place noticing. Within 48 hours, 2 observatories in Europe reported the same anomaly. 3 locations. 3 identical signals. All from one tiny device left on the moon in 1969. This was no malfunction. This was intentional. Don't look at the moon? NASA's response was immediate and quiet, a classified notice sent to involved scientists: do not disclose raw data to media. Public statements blamed measurement errors. But leaked reports said otherwise. Signal exhibits structured modulation. Unknown origin. If the reflector did reflect something alive underneath, what woke it up after 50 years of silence? Something beneath? Seismologists reviewing the timing found the signals aligned with deep interior tremors, moonquakes originating miles below the moon's surface. Not meteor strikes. Not surface shifts. Something moving inside. Something that knew when we were watching. The unfinished message before NASA shut down access, the final recorded pulse, contained a repeating pattern, one that linguists and cryptographers recognized instantly, a sequence commonly used as a handshake code in communication systems. It meant one chilling phrase: ready to connect. The question we fear so now: the moon's silent device isn't silent anymore. It's awake. It's responding. And it's waiting for the next signal. The question is, what happens if we answer? The moon has orbited Earth for billions of years. But for the first time in human history, it may have spoken. With one small reflector. One impossible signal. One reply that changed everything. So now the world's smartest scientists have the same terrifying questions. Question: what is under the moon's surface? Seismic readings from Apollo missions revealed hollow chambers, vast tunnels, and echoing caverns. Natural formations shouldn't create perfect acoustics. Some researchers speculate, could these be structures? Ancient megarooms? Machinery? Or the remains of something far older than humanity? Question: who or what sent the response? Algorithms tested the pulse patterns against all known natural signal types: wind, dust, meteor impact, thermal interference, none matched. Instead, the pulses matched advanced communication encoding. The type used by satellites, military radios, deep space probes. Someone on the moon knows our technology. And they just used it. Question: why wait 50 years to respond? The reflector was ignored for decades. No signal. No reply. Nothing unusual. But suddenly, it wakes up. Why now? Possibilities scientists fear. It needed time to power up. It was activated by something. It waited until we advanced enough. It was listening, and finally heard what it needed. Or maybe humans weren't the only ones sending lasers to the moon. Question: why is NASA silent? Officials dismissed the anomaly within hours. Report locked. Access removed. Scientists told, stop investigating. It's nothing. But governments don't classify nothing. A global blackout? That suggests they fear the truth. Or fear the reaction if the truth gets out. The biggest question of all: if the moon is more than a moon. If something inside it responded. If the reflector is now a communication link. Then we must ask, who put the moon there? Because the moon's size, orbit, and behavior are too mathematically perfect to be a coincidence. And now, it may have just answered the phone. So tonight, when you look at the moon, remember, something up there might be looking back. Listening. Watching. Waiting for us to send the next message. This is FactForge TV, bringing you the tech the world wasn't meant to find. If you want more mysteries like this, join our crew. Hit that subscribe button before the signal goes dark. Because one day soon, we may finally learn who is waiting on the moon. And when that day comes, the world will never look the same again.